years ago in Ashford by the Free State Forces. Ronán was in active service within the Republican Army, and to this day questions remain unanswered. It is the establishment view that there was little or no investigation into his death, as the state forces concentrated on the active service unit and the operation that was being executed. No such emphasis was placed on Ronán's murder. In one report, I read that they could not even tell what hand the gun was in when they claimed he pointed it at them. The reality is, the truth may never be known. But what we do know is Ronán was a committed Republican, dedicated to the cause of Irish freedom. His actions were in defence of the sovereignty of the Irish nation. And it is fitting that Ronán's final resting place is here in the Republican plot, buried with volunteer Joe Clark, whose 50th anniversary occurred last week. Joe was a combatant in the 1916 Rising and a founding member of the National Graves Association. And we are grateful to the National Graves Association, who recognised Ronán as a principal volunteer and permitted his burial in this plot. We also have placed a new plaque on the grave, as the original had become ineligible. And I commend the stonemason for the fine work that he has done. And I would ask Dermot Ryan now to unveil the stone. We ask now that we have a minute's silence and the lowering of the flag to remember Ronán and all who gave their lives in the cause of Irish freedom. Now we will have the wreath laying, first wreath from the sovereignty movement. I will now ask the Belfast Republican Anto to deliver the oration.
IRA volunteer Ronán MacLochlainn gave his life in the pursuit of a democratic sovereign republic for the people of 32 counties of Ireland. His military activism was predicated on the same legitimacy as those who fought in 1798, 1803, 1866, 1916, 1919, 1956, 69, 97, and those who continue and will continue until the violation of our national sovereignty by the Westminster Parliament is ended. The revolutionary ideas which preceded these armed expressions of national sovereignty served as a direct counterpoint to political arrangements made between the British occupier and indigenous Irish elements that solidified the occupation. We often speak of the physical force tradition in terms of resistance to British rule, but we must also evaluate armed struggle as a direct consequence of the actions of establishment nationalists who continue in their own tradition of sanitising that rule. Those who lay the charge at our door that Irish Republicans have no strategy to achieve our aims must be met with a counter-argument that we are the very embodiment of their failure. As were all those who inevitably evolved in history before us, as definitive proof of this salient fact. In essence, the physical force tradition is an imposition on the Irish people by those who most vehemently oppose it, be they British or Irish. And just as establishment nationalists will continue to seek the normalisation of British rule in our country, it is now the task of Irish Republicans to rationalise to the Irish people why that rule must end. The issue of national sovereignty must now be articulated in its totality, that our people fully realise how fundamentally important it is for them in our country. Our right to a sovereign democracy has been clearly articulated throughout the generations. That right has been carried forward as the bedrock of revolutionary ideas and acts prosecuted by those generations. But it is only the right which is necessarily carried forward. Each generation is entitled to adopt its own tactics relevant to the political circumstances of their time. Our efforts must be focused on what we can do rather than what others have done previously. The Republican movement cannot secure its primary objective on its own. It can never be the function of Irish republicanism to simply exist, nor is it the purview of any group or set of individuals to claim that they are the Republican movement. We must make strategic alliances with those who equally seek national change, albeit for different priorities that are relevant to them. A sovereign democracy belongs to all, politically active or not, and it's incumbent on the Republican movement to engage with these resources and to convince them that the Republic we envisage encompasses the solutions for the issues and rights most concerning to them. There exists within republicanism an irrational distrust of politics and political activity, evidently sourced from the various betrayals and departures that it has suffered. It's irrational because republicanism is about politics, and it's irrational because republicanism is confronted by politics. It was the lack of political acumen within republicanism which permitted both betrayals and ideological departures to take place. The Republican objective needs to be expressed politically, and Republicans need to fully understand if we wish to both effectively promote and defend it. Defining this expression in a clear and concise manner has proved problematic for Republicans. Invariably, definitions were applied to unsuccessfully prevent further betrayal and compromise, thus reducing Republican politics to a set of do's and don'ts, obsessed with betrayal, as opposed to a dynamic ideology attractive to people and capable of securing its own objective. Equally, in giving Republican politics a poor definition, the scope of activity to pursue it was greatly narrowed, leading to further marginalisation and disagreement amongst Republicans as how best to move forward. Irish republicanism was beginning to be defined by shouting aloud what it wasn't, as opposed to implementing what it represents in as broad a field as possible. Republicanism can't move forward armed with a list of negatives. Republican unity cannot be achieved with insular thinking. Or better.
Thank you, Anto, for that enlightening oration. Now we bring proceedings to a close. I'd like to thank you very much for attending this occasion, and we now have the national anthem. you.